Okay, so we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. So we'll often, everyone that comes to this course says, I'm no entrepreneur. And, you know, I felt the same, you know, after I'd opened 30 different businesses and someone says, oh, you're an entrepreneur. I said, I don't think so. I've only opened, I'm not one of these guys. These are entrepreneurs, you know. We sometimes think that entrepreneurs are only, you know, a couple of superstars on the planet. But we can all, while we can't always be like them, we do have to think like them. So real entrepreneurs, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs. But it's not true. If you're going to start a business, you need to be an entrepreneur. You need to do this. You need to think like one. You need to think like an entrepreneur. You need to act like one. And you need to follow an entrepreneurial process, which is a lot of what we're going to do through this course. It's not necessarily a corporate type story you're going to get. You're going to get the entrepreneurial process, which is a specifically unique management and planning process. And so that's what we're going to be doing through this course. So mindsets, that's not a bad one, is it? Mindsets are really important. We all have them. We all have a particular bent. I mean, some of you have done those cognitive tests, haven't you? You flip over and you know, someone sees one thing and you see another thing, or you can't see something and someone else can see something. You know, there was a really funny one I saw on Facebook the other day, and when I first read it, it looked like a very rude set of words. I don't know whether you've seen this one. And then it says underneath, you've made a mistake, you see. And I went back and looked at the words, and the words weren't even what I thought they were. My first read of them, I thought, oh my God. And then when you saw it, my mind just completely interpreted those words differently. And then they said, now have a look at the sentence you read about it not being right. It had actually reversed all the words in that sentence as well. And so it really did my mind in. And I realized that we've trained our brain to think. And sadly for a lot of you, in terms of entrepreneurship anyway, a lot of you have been trained in a corporate mindset. A lot of you have had your thinking conditioned to a particular set of thinking, to see things and to do things. And it's not conducive to starting a business. To start a business, you need to have an entrepreneurial type mindset. So mindsets are very situational. You have a different mindset to when you're searching, when you're creating, testing, executing, and producing. We have different mindsets. In business, we need two. There's two mindsets that we have to have in business. One of them we call the business mindset, and the other one is called an entrepreneurial mindset. A business mindset basically asks that question, yeah, but what's in it for me? What's in it for us? If you've ever used that word, you probably got a business mindset. If you've said, yeah, but what's good for the business? This is really good for the business. You're probably exercising an entrepreneurial mindset. Tonight, we're going to sort of do a bit of a test at the end, and we're going to just see what your natural bias is. And some of this testing I find goes beyond what your corporate conditioning has set you up for. Because while the corporates have got you thinking a particular way, some of you have still maintained a particular outlook, and that's what we're looking for tonight. So a business needs both. It's not good enough to say, I've got entrepreneurial thinking, I'm going to be successful. Maybe at the start. But later on, if you don't change that to a business mindset, you're going to struggle. Some of you say, it's really good, I'm very good at business. I know how to make money out of people. I know how to exploit a situation for my own benefit. That's great, but that sort of mindset is usually not good at starting. That mindset doesn't know how to create existence and create a customer base at the start, because you're so focused on making money out of the customer, you've forgotten you're not going to get a customer unless you start giving them value. And giving them value needs an entrepreneurial mindset. So the entrepreneurial mindset is basically how the business engages externally to attract and keep customers. That's the mindset that you need to start a business. Once you've established a business and got some decent revenue happening, you need someone to say, have a business mindset that says how the business is structured internally to make money. And that means managing your staff well. That means maintaining your prices properly. That means keeping the place in good order and condition. There's a lot of business mindset that comes into it. So the thing with mindsets is both are learnable. You can learn to have an entrepreneurial mindset. If you People would test me now and they'd say, oh, you have a very business mindset. That's because I've learned it, because I've learned from hard knocks what a business mindset is required. And while it's not my natural, I understand it. And if you want me to be a business mindset, I can be that. I could be a business partner of all of you and be actually the business partner and not the entrepreneur. But my natural bias is towards entrepreneurship. This test you do tonight, I would score 100% entrepreneurial on it. But I'll talk to you about that later. You need an entrepreneurial mindset before you get a business one. You can't start a business must start a business with an entrepreneurial mindset. How you're going to deal with that is up to you. Some of you need partners. Some of you are just going to have to learn that skill, and hopefully in this course I can help you. We need to have a transition. Once the business is up and established, we need to actually transition from an entrepreneurial mindset to a business mindset, which is why you'll notice that a lot of people that start businesses, Steve Jobs, get kicked out, because the entrepreneurial mindset is only good in the start and the growth phase. It's not a good mindset when you're trying to milk a business for money. And so you'll see that happens. You'll understand why I established 30 businesses and sold 30 businesses, won't you? Because as 100% entrepreneurial, I don't want to manage them. I want to build them, I want to create value, and then I want to sell them off. I'm over it after 18 months. Once it can fly, I've done my bit. Everyone says, why don't you put a manager in? Because that's a business mindset would do that. An entrepreneurial mindset wouldn't do that. They would cash it in and use the equity to then go and build something bigger or whatever. So you see why I've opened so many businesses, because as an entrepreneur, that's how I think. But a business mindset, these days, I have a partner who on this score, gets all the business mindset. So now I've matured enough to realize that I need a partner. And I need a partner who looks at things from a business mindset, and there's a time when that mindset is the boss, not the entrepreneurial one. So you've got to ask how you're going to fill the gap. So once we have a look at this test tonight, you've got to ask if you're strongly business mindset, how are you going to deal with the entrepreneurial mindset? If you're strongly entrepreneurial, how are you going to deal with the missing business mindset? Some of these can be engaged through lawyers and mentors and these sort of things. Some of it, like I say, all of it can be learnt. You can actually learn the entrepreneurial mindset and vice versa. So you need the entrepreneurial mindset to start a business or start and grow a business, but you need a business mindset to make a business sustainable or profitable. And you'll often find in a partnership, the reason they get into strife is because one partner is highly entrepreneurial and the other partner is highly business mindset. Now, what the business mindset has to understand is you've got to let the entrepreneur have their run early, because they see clearer than you how to build and grow that business. But once the business reaches a certain point, the business mindset must start to take over and must start to put in management systems and control systems and these sort of things, because otherwise you're not going to build the profit to be sustainable. Yeah. So there's a mindset change that needs to, if you're going to start a business, you're going to go through a concept planning stage, which we're going to help you with in this course. You'll then go to the launch and establishment stage, where you'll actually launch your business and start establishing it. And then finally, you get to that operating sustainable point where it's ticking over. This is how it happens. We need 100% entrepreneurial outlook right now. I don't want anyone, I used to say to my staff, when I'd first start a business and open a business, they'd be always talking to me, oh, Pete, we made good profit out of that. And I said, I don't want anyone to tell me about the profit we made for a long time. I'll tell you when we're going for profit. Right now, I want happy customers. That's all I want. I just want you to tell me about how many happy and satisfied customers that we serve today. Not whether we made any money out of it. That doesn't matter. Because there's no point in a business that you haven't got a repeating and referring customer base. And you know what builds that is not a business mindset. What builds that is an entrepreneurial one. One that thinks what's good for the business. But you can't keep going on like that. At some point, someone has to say, but what's in it for us? And that's the business mindset. My view is that you start in an entrepreneurial bias, and that's really important. But as you go through launch and establish into operation, basically there's no room for entrepreneurs. Sorry, entrepreneurs. That's why we sell our businesses. That's why entrepreneurs get sacked, is because their time is up. And unless they grow the business to then 10 shops, they lose their function. And they're not of value. So you need to either understand that as an entrepreneur, and while I did trade businesses for quite a few years, it wasn't my preferred option. So we're going to have to plan for this mindset change. So when we do this test tonight, and whichever way you turn up, I need you to tell me how you're going to deal with both of those things, because you can't be both. Some of you will come out 50-50, which means you understand both things, but you're probably not strong in any one. But most of you will have a bias one way or another. So I'll just tell you quickly about the entrepreneurial mindset. The entrepreneurial mindset actually doesn't sort of ready, aim, fire. It actually does that. It says ready, fire, aim. It actually jumps in and does. An entrepreneurial mindset usually does, and then reflects on it to figure out how to best do it next time. Like I say, we do that affordable loss. We do a lot of proof of concept in that action phase where the losses are insignificant or affordable. And then we don't commit heavy resources until we've actually got a proof of concept. We think in possibilities. Entrepreneurs think they pursue opportunities without regard to resources. A lot of you here tonight are probably saying, I really want to own a business, but I actually haven't even got the finance organized yet. That's okay. That's how entrepreneurs think. Because if you've got something that you can prove, all you have to get is to proof of concept. Once you get to proof of concept, we can usually organize the resources. But that proof of concept has to be, you have to be able to stand up and argue it and have people believe you. And then you can attract resources. So you don't need to have the resources to start, not with an entrepreneurial mindset. A business mindset wouldn't even think about that. They would make sure the money's all in place. But you can actually start with an entrepreneurial mindset way before you've got the resources necessary to do it. We can think in ambiguity. Entrepreneurs think, you know, everything doesn't have to be settled. Business mindset, yeah, but what are the steps? 1, 2, 3. An entrepreneur says, look, I just know this is the right way to go. You've got to trust them. They do. They embrace the affordable loss. They don't necessarily have to do planning. They do, look, let's test this out. Well, most we're going to lose $100, but we're going to learn something. Let's put the thing on eBay. Let's build a website. Let's see if we get any emails. If we don't get any emails, then we know that it's not a goer. Or if we put it up on eBay and we only get 10 sales, maybe it's not the thing we should be doing. Okay, we're blowing the $100 it cost us to set it up on eBay, but it doesn't matter. It's an affordable loss. But at least we've learned what works or what doesn't work. Think in patterns. An entrepreneurial mindset does think in patterns. And I think, did someone read that Forbes article? Did you read that one on how entrepreneurs think? I actually wrote an article on how entrepreneurs think, and it was another one that was picked up by Forbes and published. So if you type that into Google, you'll see that the article that comes up is my article from Forbes. Think incessantly. You know, I really got to turn on your brains. A lot of you with your jobs have actually, they've dumbed you down. They don't want you to think because you challenge when you think. When you think, you have suggestions. When you think, you have improvements. When you think, you have ideas. And that mostly challenges people. People just want the status quo. We just want to come to work, turn the handle, and at the end of the day get paid, you know. And so we've been trained not to think too much, but I need you, if you're going to be entrepreneurial, if you're going to make this startup business work, I need you to start thinking. And be opportunist and optimistic. Think internally. You know, this is, they call it the internal locus of control, but entrepreneurs, while we're affected by outside things, everything we do is for us. You know, every resource we meet is for us. It's actually, we don't care how other people are reacting to us, because we're always manipulating the situation to suit ourselves, either in a learning experience mostly, or establishing a new resource. You're meeting someone for the first time, you listen to them, and they're talking about websites, and so you chat to them and find out they're a website designer. You think, I could use that person one day, and you establish a connection. You link to them on LinkedIn, because you never know, that might be someone that we need down the track. The entrepreneurial mindset is about value add. The business mindset is more about exploiting a weakness, if that makes sense. An entrepreneurial mindset looks at looking at how they can create value, new value for someone, and taking a share of that value. If I can show you how to save $100 a week and prove it to you, and then I take $10 and say, you're going to have to pay me $10 of that $100 saving, you're not going to be upset about that, because you're still $90 in front. And that's how an entrepreneur would set up a business. How are you going to create terrific value for the customer, and then ask the customer in that transaction, now that you've got all this increased value, are you prepared to pay me something out of that? And that's how an entrepreneur thinks. Business mindset is more about, I see this opportunity in terms of exploiting a weakness, and I've got the strength, I've got a position where I can charge people for doing this, and their mindset is like that. Now, it's equally successful. Where I got this idea from, and this happens to be my idea, this entrepreneurial and business mindset, is because after 30 years in business and having 30 different businesses and having many different partners, I soon found out that my partners thought different to me, but they were still successful. But they were successful in different parts of what we did. And I saw that there were these two mindsets, and I've realized over time that you need them both. Let's just, so in operational management, which most of you are familiar with, the organization sets a goal, you go and get the means, the available means, and achieve that goal. Operational management. Strategic management takes the existing means to achieve a goal, but actually goes and finds some new means or new resources. What an entrepreneurial mindset does is quite different, and this is what I want you guys to do tonight. Entrepreneurial mindset starts off with your existing, what are you good at? And then goes and finds a goal that best suits your strengths. Does that make sense? You don't go out and find an idea and then say, oh, now I have to go and get some resources to make that idea work. You start with what you're good at. You start with your unique resources. You start with your market intelligence. You start with your unfair advantage. You put it on the table and say, if you had all of that, which goal would you seek? And that's what that was all about tonight. Tonight was all about discovering what resource you're bringing to this business. Now, given that array of resources, and you've all identified them, you've all got strengths written on there, you've all got things that you're good at, and intellectual capacity that you've got. Given that that is what you're good at, what idea would best suit that set of resources? Does that make sense? It's a different way of looking at it. So don't go out looking for an idea. What you do is you look at what your available strengths are and say, given this set of strengths, what business should I be in? And that's what you should be doing. And some of those strengths are your experience, some of those strengths are your relationships, some of those strengths are your market intelligence, also added to the mix. So that's how we think, and that's how entrepreneurs exploit opportunities, and they are the best opportunities. Not starting with an idea and then finding resources. Start with your resources and then say, what's the best goal given these resources? Did you get that? Read it up. You need some new exercises, and one of the major ones you need to learn, and just start doing this from now for the rest of your life. I want you to look up everywhere you go, because you haven't. Have you got to go? No? Oh. For the rest of your life, I want you to look up, because you have not trained yourself to look up. And you don't realize, but there's whole shops with no ceilings. You know, you don't realize that there's some weird stuff in Queen Street with horses up on the balconies and funny things in the windows, because you've never looked up. We as humans have been taught to look there, and we've never looked up. And the trouble with not looking up is you're not forcing yourself to experience a place anew. And that's what I'd like you to start to do. You don't have to do anything more to your creativity than start looking up. Everywhere you go, just look up and see what's in the ceiling, or look up and see what's above the awning. And you'll be surprised how much you haven't looked up. And I've actually trained myself to go looking for things now. I have a mindset that says I want to see what's unusual, what's different. Because in doing that, I'm training my mindset to see anew. Otherwise, your mind gets trained and you never see anew. And in doing that, you never see opportunities that you could exploit. Okay, so learn to make mistakes, guys. That means going and doing stuff. Affordable loss. I'm not saying go and put the house on something. I'm saying go and spend $10, $100. Go and do something that gives your idea. Just go and sign up for eBay. Put your cupcakes on there. Maybe not cupcakes, but put your prototype on there and see if anyone's interested. Build a website and put your idea and say, email me if you're interested. You know, let's start making mistakes and saying, oh, that didn't work. Well, you're going to get learnings out of it, but you need to learn coping skills. You know, the greatest security you can have is not your assets, but your ability to cope. your ability to get knocked down and come back again. That's your greatest capacity, because no matter what happens to you in life, if you understand coping skills, then you can survive. The people that don't survive are people that have relied their whole life on assets to save them. You know, I love in the Canberra fires, this house was completely devastated. And the journalist, you could see the journalist was not a real good coper, and they came up to the lady, the mother, and said, how are you going to cope? Your house has just been completely destroyed. You know, what are you? And the person, just as quick as a flash, took that, well, we'll start again. Are you crazy? We'll just start again. And it was so matter of fact. This guy is absolutely devastated for them. And the mother just said, well, we'll start again. You know, there's someone that's understood that that's what you've got to do. You just got to start again. It's no biggie, you know. Some of us are so scared of failure, but failure is just, you just start again. This time you start smarter. And this time you start in a much better way than you did when you first failed. Now, I'm not promoting failure. I am promoting learn to put yourself in a position where you need to learn to cope. Coping is your greatest security. That no matter what happens, you'll cope. See your idea from your customer's point of view. Most of you have come to this course thinking, I've got this idea that I want to make money for myself. Guaranteed failure. I want to come to this course because I've got an idea that will benefit customers. I've got an idea that will change people's lives. I've got an idea that will make people's lives better. Tell me about that story. Don't tell me about how you're going to make money. Tell me about how you're going to make someone's life better because of your idea. And that's where we need to change it. Remember, that's an entrepreneurial view. And to start a business successfully, you need that. So we need to do that. Start scanning your world. Listen for ideas, resources, networks. We're going to join the dots. The guy with the website, the guy that's got a brother-in-law in the area that you want to go, a supplier that you come across. You know, the casual meeting now is significant. Once you say, I'm going to start a business, you are now on heightened alert. You are now listening to every conversation, and you're saying to yourself, how can this person help my business? Now, you haven't asked that question so far. You say, oh, really, you work there. That's lovely. I can't wait to get away from you because you seem like a bit of a pain. You know, that's not how you're going to be doing. You're saying, so what do you do again? What are you good at? Yeah, really? Where do you work? You know, you're thinking to yourself, you could be useful to my business one day. Now, you don't know when that will come, but guarantee that that person at some point could be something for you. Maybe they connect on LinkedIn and they become a key person in introducing you to some place. You don't know. But that's how you're thinking now. You now are into this digging for resources. Every person you meet now is not just someone that comes and goes. They're a potential something. They're a potential resource. So don't let them go. And develop an options portfolio. I know some of you have already come and say, Pete, this is what I want to do. Yeah, let's stay a bit open on that, yeah? There's other ways in which we can do your idea. And maybe your real idea really is self-actualization anyway. It doesn't have to be really that idea. Let's keep an options portfolio. We don't have to commit to this one idea yet. There might be other twists and turns we need to do to get your idea to a sustainable or a profitable level. Entrepreneurs prepare. We don't go into this thing sort of like a lot of people think, oh, spontaneous. We don't go into spontaneous stuff. We prepare because luck is what happens when preparation meets what does it mean? Opportunity. We need to be prepared for this idea. We're not going to go into this idea willy-nilly. We're not going to wait for some serendipitous moment. We are actually preparing for it from today. The people we meet and the connections that we make. And it is a journey, team. It's a massive journey. Once you get into it, it's a lifestyle. I can't give it up now. You know, my life is now so totally entrepreneurial. I refuse to live any other sort of life. For me, it's, you know, I know it's, you know, you don't want to be a religion, but for me, I can't live any other sort of life. And while they offer me long-term contracts and that here, I don't take them. I say, no, leave me as a casual, leave me to win my cash flow every year, you know, because I want to live in that sort of state. It's crazy, isn't it? You would think so. But it's what keeps you, you know, it's a bit like Peter Sellers in the Pink Panther. Get an experience guide, or you'll need one. If you've never been in business before, you'll need one. It's far harder than you think because there are so many threats. Some of the things you're going to do, other people are just going to say you're mad. You know, that's 101. Get ready for that. You're mad, it's irrational. So this course is not for the rational people. This is for the course that are people that are committed to starting their own business, and they're going to do it regardless. If that's you, then I'm here to try and help you. So just recheck your motives. I've often said, you know, starting a business is a bit like, you know, a mother with a newborn. I don't know whether any of you have been in that position, but I've been a father with a newborn, and thank goodness my wife was up to the task, because I wasn't. Boy, the commitment is massive, you know, and starting a business, the commitment is massive, and so we need to just make sure that this is what we want to do, that we've got the right experience to go and do it, that we've got the right education. In terms of the individual activity, I want to take you through a test.